យើងខ្ញុំប្រកាសណាសូមក្រាបថ្វាយបង្គំព្រះគុណជាម្ចាស់គ្រប់ព្រះអង្គជាទីសក្ការៈសូមគោរពជម្រាបសួរអាយដាមសាស្ត្រាចារ្យបណ្ឌិតដាមឆាត់រីអគ្គស្ថាបនិកអគ្គមេបញ្ជាការឧត្តមគណៈប្រឹក្សាខ្មែរជួយខ្មែររបស់ជាតិជាទីគោរពដ៏ខ្ពង់ខ្ពស់និងសូមជម្រាបសួរបងប្អូនខ្មែរទូលទាំងសកលលោកជាទីនឹករលឹកនេះជាកម្មវិធីទស្សនៈស្ត្រីលើកទី22ថ្ងៃនេះយើងខ្ញុំនឹងបកស្រាយបំភ្លឺពី4សប្តាហ៍កន្លងមកយើងមកសម្ភាសជាមួយដុកទ័រ Kiss Scott ពីទូនីតិរបស់ឯកឧត្តមសាស្ត្រាចារ្យបណ្ឌិតដាំឆាត់រីអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំនឹងបកស្រាយជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសមួយដូចតទៅ Good evening and welcome back to Supreme Council of Khmer for Rescue Khmer Lady Viewpoint Show number 22 show actually, and now I would like to introduce our panelists this evening. Right now we have Ms. Chhyna Chan and Ms. Kalyan Nou. And my name is Chhovy. I am your host tonight. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you, Bong.
Thank you, Bong. Welcome to both of you as well.
Thank you. Tonight we are going to have another exciting show again. So how are you doing again, ladies?
You know, I'm doing great, Bong. You know, with this virus it's still in full swing and many people are being affected by it. You know, other than that, I'm doing great, Bong, and thank you for asking.
Yes. How about your own, Chhyna?
Well, thank you, Bong Chhovy, Bong Kalyan as well. I'm okay now, just fully recovered from this flu myself, and I am very grateful to be back again tonight with both Bong.
It's great to hear that. Thank you. Again, it is lovely to be here with you, lady. Again, I am going to invite you, lady, to participate in the dialogue as you both see fit. Please jump in. Let's get our show started. Last month, our Lady Viewpoint team had an excellent opportunity to have an exclusive interview with a long-time UNOITC Chief of Cabinet of the UNOITC, Dr. Kiss Scott, acknowledging His Excellency. In the interview, we discover many facts about Lucretian from a live person, not just reading from the article on this, internet, that all false information. Many of our followers requested that us to follow up on the item that Dr. Kiss Scott is closed. Before we get further along, I wanted to clarify again that the world is not what we have learned. So as lady, at SCKHK, my Lady Viewpoint have the privilege to bring this fascinating and the fact of what it is. We all here to provide the fact about the world form and shape after the World War I and World War II. Most of all, how the world is prospered under the asset of God, which is currently under the control of our Lucretian. On Kalyan, on Chhyna, Dr. Scott yet disclosed a lot, but it is still, too high level for many of our audience to have a grassroots understand of it. I hope you lady could interpret it or put it in layman term as possible. Kalyan, let's start with you tonight on. Please start with the trilateral and tripartite and trilinium treaty on, please.
Sure, Bong. You know, good evening, everyone, and good morning to Phnom Penh. And Bong, it is very accurate that the world is not what we think. We have been taught and made to believe that, what we know today, our world is being run by the 13 most powerful families. And to understand the trilateral, tripartite, and trilinium treaty, we must start from 1920, right after World War I. Because of the First World War from 1913 to 1919, killed over 14 million people, an estimated 9 million in combat, and over 5 million in civilians. And in 1920, the Versailles Treaty, the term for peace, was signed between Germany, Great Britain, France, and the United States.
And Bong Kalyan, let's not forget that the treaty was to punish Germany for starting World War I, Bong.
You are right, but this revolution, again, German was the underlying cause of the Second World War on.
Yes, it was, Bong. Emperor Hirohito of Japan understood the danger of the Second World War and called a meeting of all kings and heads of states of all national powers to London in 1921.
And you know what, Bong? The meeting was to attend by all the world leaders. Although the deliberations of the conference is sealed forever, we know two issues were discussed and agreements made between all nations.
Yes, Chhyna, the two main issues were, of course, no other than money. And one of the issues was that the nations demanded a more flexible financial system than the gold standard, which was re-rigged and require currency to be fully backed by gold.
Interesting, on Kalyan. This issue is not something new. Right now, as we all know that the world is in turmoil and we will be in a better position than any other country due to one pound Khmer. I am so excited to send this lady.
You know what, Mom? Me too. Yes, everyone needs Lopatian, at least the two superpower, China and the United States of America, Mom.
Thank you, on Chhyna, but not get too carried away on this on. We shall come back later on to this, and but let's get back to our subject. On Kalyan, please continue. What all this attendee all are concerned about on?
Well, from what we know, the attendees' concern was that the First World War was caused by countries that did not control their economies. With these concerns, the war would occur again and again with each generation, and the world was on a path of self-destruction. Bong.
I see. So what are the remedies since then on?
Well, you know what, Mom? Not right away. Not too long after the World War II erupted, as we all know, which was a very costly war. Mom. This was due to the financial system being too rigged.
And that is correct, Chhyna. And here in the United States, a senator named Nelson Aldrich proposed a plan in 1910, invented a group of American bankers that proposed the creation of fiat currency, while the world is struggling to figure it out.
What is a fiat currency on?
Well, it is a currency backed by debt, not by gold-backed currency. And the United States, for the United States Congress created debt by allowing the Federal Reserve to print the United States dollars at will.
How many fiat currency are all out there?
Well, Mom Chhovy, if you want me to answer this, something is like 180 fiat currency, but the majors are such as the US dollar, euro, pound, and yen are fiat money. This meant that the money supplies could be contracted and expanded as needed by each country, Mom.
From what we have here, it seemed like the world was divided from the 1921 meeting in London.
Yes, Bong, it did, Bong. Following the meeting came the tripartite pact between the original Nazi Germany, the Kingdom of Italy, Empire of Japan, the Kingdom of Hungary, the Kingdom of Romania, the Slovak Republic, the Kingdom of Bulgaria, the independent state of Croatia, and the Kingdom of Yugoslavia, which was for 2 days, and they united them as World War II annexed forces.
Dictatorship leader mostly ran this, country, if I am not mistaken, the World War II excess force on.
Well, Mom Chhovy, you are correct. The tripartite pact was together with the anti-Comintern pact and the Pact of Steel, one of the several agreements between Germany, Japan, Italy, and other countries of the Axis powers governing their relationship. The tripartite pact was directed primarily at the United States, Mom.
Yeah, we know that the tripartite is a group of access force led by German and Japan. How about the trilateral pact? Maybe you could add, Ông
Sure,
Kalyan.
Bong. Yeah, I'll answer that. The members of the Trilateral Pact were Britain and the nations of the British Empire. And the United States became the allied forces of World War II.
Okay, I need one of you lady to help me clarify this. What does Dr. Keith Scott mean by the world goal needed to disappear? Chhyna, please explain, please.
Well, of course, sure, Bang Chhovy. Like Bang Kalyan said earlier, fiat currency is backed by debt, not by gold backed by currency bond. This means that the fiat currency could not compete with the gold backed currency.
And Chhyna, to take pressure on this in 1933, the first Gold Act was agreed upon all governments in London, 1921 meeting. When the Gold Act was signed into law by every country in the world, it meant that every person or company who owned gold bullion or gold coins must surrender those gold to their central bank in exchange for paper money.
And even if it was agreed upon by the government, two ethnic groups refused to comply, which were the Jews in Europe and the Chinese in Asia.
Lady, this had a terrible consequence. The German army carried out the Holocaust on the Jews in Europe, and the Japan army carried out the Chhyna massacre in Asia. This just because of the money.
Well, before and during World War II, all the gold of the Trilateral Pact countries was surrendered to their central banks, shipped to Singapore, and captured by the Japanese.
And you know what, Bang Kalyan, all the gold of Axis country was seized by the Germany army and shipped via Argentina and the Japanese in Asia. It was then buried in bunkers and caves between 1942 and 1945 by the Japanese army led by Lieutenant General Kuroda, the highest military commander of Japanese forces in Southeast Asia. Kuroda had attended the 1921 conference with Hirohito Bong.
Yes, and this gold is often referred to as Yamashita treasure. It was hidden and secured by General Kuroda, but General Yamashita did not bury those gold, and we believe that those gold was buried by General Kuroda, per Dr. Scott. And every ounce that was hidden and was faithfully recorded by Kuroda, who reported every ounce, and this was registered in the Bank for International Settlement and certified. And every place he buried those golds became the international registered repository, which means that taking those gold from this repository is a crime. And all the gold bullions and gold coins were secured into what is known as the International Institutional Parent Combined Collateral Accounts were created. And today, this gold provides the value behind all money issued through the Federal Reserve System. And the Federal Reserve System controls all the world's central banks. And you know what? As we all witness it right now today, the United States government put a major sanction on Russia before for invading Ukraine. And all the banking transactions going through Russia are frozen. As said, the Federal Reserve System controls all the world's central banks. And also, per our Lopatin, it's been confirmed that the European Union and the United States decided today to cut off the SWIFT to Russia. Bon.
Oh, thank you, Owen. Lady, all this hidden gold to this very day, all to be used to put value behind money, even though the world community is unaware of how the financial system works.
Well, Bong, this gold mainly was recovered between 1982 and 2000 from the bunkers and moved to the new secret repositories. and is used by the global banking system as the value that underpins the world monetary system within the combined fund held by the international institutional parent combined collateral registrations account commission, which is owned by the federal system with ownership and control assigned by the consent of all nations to His Excellency Professor Dr. Ray C. Dam and the UNOITC. And then, in 1944 at Bretton Woods, which is in New Hampshire, representative of world government met to decide on a post-war monetary system and method of establishing world reconstructions following World War II. Well,
Yeah, from the Bretton Woods Agreement, Pacific Organization Authority were created.
Yes, and that was the Alpha Omega Marshall Plan, which has centralized the wealth of all nations and the Bank for Reconstruction and Development, now known as the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the Trilateral Tripartite Gold Commission for the Restitution of Monetary Gold was established for a term of 50 years. This commission operated in The Hague from 1944 until 1994. The Trilateral Tripartite Gold Commission ended in 1994 and was replaced on January the 20th, 1995 by the International Institutional Parent Combined Collateral Accounts Commissions, which is today controlled by the Office of International Treasury Control. That makes Aulo Putin as the chairman of this most powerful financial organizations.
The signatory controller of this commission is His Excellency Professor Dr. Ray C. Dam.
But yeah, Wong Chovy, the chairman of the commission is by treaty law agreed by all nations in 1987, and the owner and therefore the controller of the centralized collateral wealth of all nations is His Excellency Professor Dr. Ray C. Dam.
Yes, that is correct, ladies. Without the treaty law and the agreement of all nations, to be exact, the number is 209 countries with 9 regions, and Cambodia is in the 8th region. And this control system prevents the corporate world of banks from stealing the wealth of the nations, which belong to the people of the world as their birthright. And this system of rights and ownership is exercised through each person's birth certificate, which is registered through the International Monetary Fund, also known as the IMF.
Yeah, on Kalyan, this arrangement of or financial structure is very complex. I do not think the world community or normal or ordinary people could understand this or would accept this very true. This controller system is for too complex to explain in a brief paper such as this right now. Yeah.
Well, with this kind of arrangement is kept away from the public for the bankers to make money. UNOITC is the guardian and arbitration system of this collective wealth of all people that belongs to all people in the world and is used to ensure the value behind the money for all people's use. And this is why we call it God wealth. It was created by God.
True, Uncle Yan, as said in the interview, Dr. Scott said, and let me quote what he said that day that we interviewed him. No man can create gold, silver, and platinum. Only God creates these for the use of all people. People never create this wealth. God created for the benefit of all people. And this is why the world chose our big boss, which, the famous name, Lopian Dr. Ray C. Dam, to lead His Excellency task at the Office of International Treasury Control.
Uncle Yan, can you please reiterate the duty of the UNOITC as sole arbiter of the asset of God, please, own?
Sure, to all the Gold Khmer that's watching us right now and been following us, this will be difficult to understand because it is not normal facts, that most of us have not learned in school or the mainstream media. And I'm very fortunate that my husband shared and takes his time to explain step by step to me. But I also have to do some research on my own to better understand myself. He had been following and researching the sole arbiter who controls the world collateral account since 2007. But, he did not realize that Dr. Ray is going Khmer. And for those in doubt, please go visit our latest website, which was created and hosted by the Chinese government that recently bowed down to our Louboutin for help in getting their financial requirement from collapsing. And the website is www.unoitcchina.org.
Thank you, On.
Thank you, Bong.
Such tremendous document, Bong, going back thousands of years and with hundreds of internet posting and blogs clearly stated the facts. Yes, it is God's asset without any argument, Bong.
Lady, I remember one statement that Dr. Scott said that stuck, in my mind. Please allow me to quote, UNOITC knows that one day we must account to God for how we have used the asset of God provided. Unbelievable.
That is very correct, Bong Chhovy. These assets are infinite in the value they provide, and infinity is a divine state asset. UNOITC is the sole asset arbiter, which is under the control of Louboutin Dr. Ray Sidam. And he has been doing this since 1988. This is over 34 years already.
And you ladies, and God has always existed. And no matter what man does or claim, God will always exist. And I agree with Dr. Scott's statement on this. Look at the US dollar, the largest and the most circulated currency in the world. This currency may be backed by debt, but the debt is backed by value. And this allows the United States government and the Federal Reserve System to say, in God we trust, because it is the divine wealth. We can trust there is value.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the wording in God we trust does present the divine state of meaning on.
Well, God has chosen Louboutin and the Office of the International Treasury Control as the caretakers and the custodian of God's assets since 1988, Bong.
Thank you, On. Chhyna, if you please could explain the goal of the Japan government buried in the Philippines island before during World War II, On, if you can.
Yeah, my pleasure. The goal that was buried in the Philippines during the period you just mentioned, it was Lieutenant General Kuroda, who may have buried the millions of gold that existed. However, the gold was registered all in the Bank for International Settlements after World War II, which was the war won by the United States and its allies. As of today, it is in the use in the banking system. And of course, it is owned and controlled by the Office of International Treasury Control through the International Institutional Parent Combined Collateral Account Commission.
Thank you.
That is correct on Chhyna. The gold that buried by General Kuroda has been recovered and replaced in registered warehouses.
On Kalyan, Dr. Scott mentioned, public and private debt. What does the Scott refer to?
No, well, this is a bit complicated, but I would try to make it simple so everyone can understand. Some will not accept it because of their ignorance or refuse to accept the truth. All debt, whether public or private, require a debt facility account to offset the balance in terms of the accounting ledger system. And most of us that are familiar with the accounting systems refer it to as debit and credit accounting. And the asset global combined collateral asset under the control of Louboutin is being used to underwrite all debt, public and private, such as the United States housing market, lenders like the Fannie Mae and the Freddie Macs.
Thank you for the verification, Mongkalayan. When we borrow money from a bank, UNOITC provides the security of the interest component of that loan. and how and why this occurred required 200 pages book to explain, Mom. We can't sit here all day and just explain
Yes.
the procedure of it and the policy.
Yes, you are right, Chhyna. And what else? Every mortgage provided by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and in this world is underwritten by the gold owned by OITC, which always consult with the other monetary authorities such as the Federal Reserve.
Okay, lady, we are moving forward to the end of our show. We would like to close out our show to cover the critical aspect of Libertarian credential as power in terms of how it will be liberate our country. Ông Kalyan.
Sure, Bong, let me start by saying this. There are many secrets of governments that's best to remain secret. This is why the United States government passed many secrecy laws to protect the integrity of the function and duty of the entity, such as UNOITC and many international treaties that engage between nations. To this effect, helps prevent speculation and manipulation of the monetary system.
And let me add on to you, Bong Kalyan, that because many factions in the financial world are competing to gain footing or take advantage of the asset, there must be a system of arbitrations and control to manage these competing interests. So without an arbitration system, the global financial system would be like a football game without a referee. There must be order, well, just like the law and order. So the role must have a vital leadership role and a very incorruptible role. And Lopatin, His Excellency Dr. Ray Sedam, has fit the profile of requirement perfectly since 1995. Just imagine from 9 people, Bong, to just one person. All 9 codes are under just one person, which is His Excellency Dr. Ray Sedam.
Yes. Sorry, I don't know.
Okay, honey.
Sorry. This is, that's what you call it, the Alpha Omega Code. The asset beneficiaries are the keys to the world asset in all 9 regions for the 209 countries. And this role is the Office of International Treasury Control, which look Batian as the commander-in-chief of of the most powerful financial organization in the world.
Mom, what you just said, I would like to read out this legal reference that testifies to the truth is as follows, that I have extracted from the website in unitcchina.org, where this is said, whereas ratification 1898 of the Treaty of Paris in revision 1935, 1974, 1987, and 2015, which constitute the CC.3957P dash decisions Alpha Omega Marshall Plan, CIAGRSP 70014 dash IPRA dash 8371 granted mandatory powers and enforcement in the resolutions of executions of the written order and the relinquishment of the treaty rights from the Federal Asset Recovery Act of the New Nations of the World Treaty Pact appointed the persons Dr. Ray Sedam as the owner and controller of the federal asset through OITC under Charter Control number 10-60847. And then another one, whereas international treaty is the supreme power in law to recover federal asset for any powers of nations. When transacted, all asset and settlement accounts required an affidavit of consent and affidavit of authorizations to settle from UNOITC for any transactions of divine asset to be lawful. The legal reference that I just read is the extractions of the website, which is very powerful. And I hope that those who have some backbone in the financial circle should take severe respect and be proud of, our Khmer. Well,
Thank you, Chhyna. Now, Kalyan, can you please share with our audience of Lucrative milestone of accomplishment beginning with the Bank for International Settlement BISO?
Sure, Bong, I'll be honored and glad to provide this information of Luke Pertin's accomplishment. Back in October of 1988, Luke Pertin was appointed to the role of sole arbiter of the BIS for all the buried gold in the Philippines by the Japanese with reference number RCD 1088. And on January 20th, 1995, the United States Congress bestowed Luke Pertin with third to fifth level as the sole arbiter of the global collateral account with 12 international treaties as of today. And on January 20th, 2003, the United Nations Charter number was granted His Excellency Professor Dr. Ray C. Dam as the solvent entity with United Nations reference number 10-648, this will be 608, excuse me, outside again, 10-60847. And on October 27th, 2020, just 1 week before the United States presidential election, the United States high-ranking government from both houses, Republican and Democrat, re-ratify and reconfirmation of His Excellency 1995 Congressional 12 International Financial Authorities. These authorities have jurisdiction over all the gold bullions and in the world that are registered under the Bank for International Settlement, the BIS. And I would like to point out the authority of the BIS bestowed to Luke Pertin. It is the most powerful authority beside the 9 global trading accounts that has 9 individual codes. In conclusion, the UNOITC quota collateral combined parent institution commissioner as grant master level 5 licensees Federal Reserve System under the Treaty Pact Alpha Omega Marshall Plan, authority from the Swiss government, the oldest trust, and the European banking community in the amount of $10 trillion. I think there's like 13 zero in there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely correct, Bong Kalyan. China needs his authority on its side to alleviate its financial crisis.
Yeah, lady, even selling the gold in their vaults or banks.
Yeah, Bong, that is correct. The gold bullion bars are the registered asset that need to be controlled to monitor the financial movement of the world currency. Because of World War II, the Allies and the United States won the war, and they created a treaty to avoid another war, world war. Those treaties created an international monetary system called the Federal Reserve System, using the United States dollar as the world currency with the global collateral account as the debt facility. Therefore, Luke Pertin is the most influential person on this planet. I am so proud to say this.
Absolutely, I agree with you, excuse me, I almost called you Hanita. Oh, yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, okay. Now we have come to the end of our show, lady. Would you like to share your closing thought?
Sure, Bong, it's so nice to be back, and we've been absent over 2 months, and it's so nice to see you ladies tonight. And during our last show, we had an opportunity to interview UNOITC Chief of Staff, Dr. Keith Scott, and it was his first official authorized interview with Luke Pertin's approval. Everything we have mentioned, the 9 global master trading accounts with 9 signatories, which are also known as the Alpha Omega Marshall Plan accounts. And we have repeatedly stated many times that Luke Pertin credential and his education accomplishment of 6 PhD with Jesuit credential, and that is very elite society to be representing. And now, let me put in a simple perspective for those who are following us and listening to our show. Here are my point that I would like to share with everyone. One, on this great planet, we have about what, 7 billion plus people? And our Lokpatian is the person who controls God asset. And two, we have world asset that manage the financial transaction every day, which is run by the Federal Reserve System. And Lokpatian is level 5 Grand Master Commitment Holder. And three, America, France, Canada, and China need our Lokpatian help with their financial cash flow. And four, all the gold depository in the Philippines island during World War II cannot be moved without Lokpatian approval. And five, just recently the elite shadow government approved the quota from the Alpha Omega Marshall Plan accounts for $10 trillion. And this is in the trillions, for Lokpatian to use for a good cause, like liberating Cambodia from this evil empire, China and Vietnam bomb. And what I had just mentioned above is very real, and we are ready to reclaim our land back, to the righteous people, righteous owner of the Khmer land, which all the all con Khmer bong, Chau Lục Ta Thống, all the Khmer and Chau Chau. We're gonna reclaim our Khmer land back, and they're all the righteous owner of the land. And thank you, Bong.
Thank you very much, Chhyna.
Well, thank you, Bong, for giving me the opportunity to conclude my last remark. First of all, thank you, Bong Kalyan, for your broad political spectrum of information. It is crystal clear on what you had just mentioned, Bong. I wanted to say that Dr. Keith Scott confirmed and validated His Excellency Professor Dr. Ray Sedam curriculum vitae in relationship to UNOITC and UNOITC of China. And he is a sole arbiter of the world and a chief financial controller. Bong. Those who are still ambiguous about Lokpatian's background, please, try to dig it deeper to find out more information on this website that we have provided from the beginning of our show. And again, we appreciate you all continuing to love and support SCKHK, because, like Bong Kalyan just mentioned, we all Kon Khmer. We're doing this for all Kon Khmer. This is our last resort. Like we've been saying for the past 20 months, somewhat, that this is our only opportunity now. We either we are in the same boat, or we won't see our country, beautified again. So thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bong Chavi, for being such a great host.
And I also want to, share with everyone, all the Lục Ta Thông, Chai Chai Lục Ta Thông and Khmui Khmui, that Lục Ta Thông gives the opportunity to all Kon Khmer that love, our land, that will be protecting, education is our foundation, for SCKHK. So all the grandchildren of Lục Ta Thông will have the opportunity to have a higher education. The more education you have, the more you know that they cannot come and invade us or take over our land. We will not be fooled by our enemy. Those of future generation, the younger generation, will have to protect. Lục Ta Thông will leave with a legacy, liberating this country for all Kon Khmer. But remember, you have to protect. Nobody will protect it for you except yourself, all Kon Khmer, to protect it. Yes.
So we either stand together and conform as one, or we divide, and then we're all going to fall and have somebody, some other country to invade our country. So is this what we want? The reason why we're doing this, because this is not what we want. We want a home. We want a place for our children and grandchildren, to be grassroots in, to feel like, you have a home. You have a country. You know, this is a temporary thing. You're living in this country. We're all grateful, for being here. We are grateful for the opportunity of being in America, where we become an American Asian, American Cambodian, Cambodian American. We get, full educations. We're very fortunate that we're here, but in the end, we're still Cambodian. And in the end, we need a home. We need a permanent home for our grandchildren to know that this is where you came from,
Yeah, and also, I remember my mom used to tell us that, Cambodia was so beautiful, like everybody loved everybody in Cambodia back then.
Right.
And, we've been poisoned by this evil
Regime.
people. Yes.
Exactly.
And we got to bring our culture back.
Exactly. We have to
Our culture is so
refurbish it.
beautiful, very beautiful Cambodian
I totally
culture.
agree. And now, as you see, this is what's happening to Russia and Ukraine. This is the same thing that is happening to Cambodia right now. We are under the, invasions of Vietnam. And most of us don't know that. Most of us grew up in America, and they think that this is the end. It's not the end. You feel like, you're still being invaded. You feel like you're violated. You're not in your own home. You're being pushed away from your own home. And what happened to you, what's happening to Ukraine and Russia right now, that's still happening in Cambodia. We are still under the same control, in Cambodia. The Vietnamese are still, overseas and do whatever they want to do in our own country. And this is what Russian is doing. Wow.
Chhyna won't be for long, because we have Lupatian, that he is Khmer, he is 100% Khmer blood. He will liberate and bring prosperity, happiness to all Khmer, but all Khmer must take the initiative to protect that, will not let it happen again, over and over again, because we have the opportunity right now, because our Lupatian has the ability to liberate and bring our culture back, our beautiful land, our natural resources. We don't need any help from any other country.
Exactly.
Because Lupatian is so powerful in the financial world. We all can rebuild our country together. All Khmer get the opportunities. Yes.
I totally agree. So I know Mong Chhovy can't wait to close her show.
Sorry, Bong.
Well, lady, it's a beautiful and well said it, lady. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bong. Thank you.
For sharing
We
your
have been hibernated for a while, for 2 months.
I know.
So we're back, and we just can't, wait.
But we keep going stronger and stronger. Put it that way. We have to, that's our love for our country. That's what's our duty right now, to, teach
to teach, to educate
the young generation. Yes, to bring back our beautiful culture.
Is the foundation. Education is the foundation, and that's the only thing that what do they call it in Khmer? គេហៅថាមូលដ្ឋានគ្រឹះសម្រាប់កូនខ្មែររបស់យើង
Khmer. Yes.
គឺ education ហ្នឹង ហើយ without education, without the prosperity of Cambodia, we cannot protect Cambodia.
No, we cannot. And you know what? We're going to bring the over 2 million plus Gong Khmer that went to other country for work not as a manager, but as the slave, and help rebuilding others' country, not their own country.
Right.
So we have to bring those
back,
young generation back to help rebuild our country.
Help rebuild
and bring it back to
our nation strong again.
Yes. Sorry, Bong. Okay, I'm sorry.
We just didn't want to stop, Bong.
I think we are kind of early. It's okay. Thank you very much, lady. Thank you again for sharing your thoughts tonight. And now our show have come to the end, but tonight's show is undoubtedly the most exclusive. My fellow Gong Khmer worldwide is listening us tonight. We want to let you all know that we are much closer and closer to liberating our motherland from this evil regime. So be prepared for the new Khmer Republic government for the people and by the people. The Supreme Council of Khmer for Rescue will ensure that the traitor will be brought to justice. if any of you wanted to be part of the history, please get in touch with us, my lady viewpoint team, to become SCKHK member. And before we close out this wonderful evening, we would like to acknowledge Lok Jamtil Savanho and Mr. Oksora Pich for the guidance and support of our Supreme Council of Khmer for Rescue, my lady viewpoint show as always. And finally, to His Excellency Professor Dr. Ray C. Dam, we honor Supreme Council of Khmer for Rescue, my lady viewpoint, wish to thank you, Your Excellency, from the bottom of our heart, for giving all of us here the opportunity to be part of the history. Until we meet again next month, please follow Khmer Politics and Supreme Council of Khmer for Rescue. If you find this show of value, please share it. Thank you, everyone, and good night. យើងខ្ញុំទាំងអស់គ្នាសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណដល់អស់លោកស្រីប្រិយមិត្តតែងតែតាមដានកម្មវិធីទស្សនៈស្ត្រីនៃឧត្តមក្រុមរក្សាខ្មែរជួយខ្មែររបស់ជាតិយើងនឹងវិលជួបលោកអស់លោកស្រីស្រាជាថ្មីនៅវេលាក្រោយសូមជម្រាបលាថ្លែងអំណរអរគុណ